What is up, friends? Chuck here, back in the garage. I have to have a confession to make. I was in the garage last night as well, and I didn't film it. Part of that was because I just haven't been feeling amazing. I got some like weird cold that I don't know, because I have a nasal inhaler, that I don't have mucus or whatever, but I just kind of like, just feeling like dragged out for the last few days. But anyway, we've started final prep work on the M3 for track days. You know, there's an impending track day. I'm still technically on the wait list, but I'm hoping I get in there for it. Basically, we got to redo the cooling system. I got a Mishimoto aluminum radiator, new water pump, new thermostat, a couple new cooling lines. While we're in there, we're gonna actually do the oil filter housing gasket because that was leaking. So last night I didn't do a whole lot of work that you would probably be interested in. It was mostly just disassembly. So I'll show you in a minute, but I basically ripped everything out, and now I've got to get some stuff done. So this video is going to be basically kind of some of the remaining track prep stuff for the M3, and then hopefully pretty soon we'll see it at a track day. If they don't let me into the track day, I'm going to try to find another track day. If that doesn't happen, maybe get some autocross in sometime before the snow starts. Yeah, anyway, appreciate you guys watching. Let's get started. All right, cool. Hopefully this lighting is not too horrible, but this is the front of the engine bay. Clearly there's been some stuff removed. So the radiator fan shroud is still right here. It had a radiator behind it, now it does not. I took the radiator out, took the water pump out, see if I can get this to hang. Water pump was in here, thermostat goes here, alternator was here. This is the oil filter housing. It goes down and connects to the block down here. Oil filter housing down to the block. There's a O-ring that kind of where this connects to the block. It leaks oil all down the side. No bueno for the track days. This is a tensioner. So to do this, I had to remove both sets of belts. This is the front AC belt, and then there's a belt here that runs the water pump and runs the alternator. This tensioner, I think is bad. See if I can show this to you. See how there's like slop in this thing? I think that's bad. So I had to order a new tensioner. So I got to wait on this to really make this complete. And then thing two that I ran into is this thing throws a check engine light between the first and second gear shift only when it's cold. And there's two knock sensors on the engine for measuring engine knock. So I went ahead and bought them because with this out of the way and like nothing right here, it's easier to access without having to pull the intake manifold off. So I'm gonna try to get those done while we're in here, and then just kind of do general inspection of whatever else we can see, replace everything that we took off, and yeah, should be interesting. All right, so this is the radiator that we took out of the car. This is a stock kind of like OEM part. This fan is not, however. This car has been converted to an electric fan. So this fan is basically run by the actual coolant temperature, not just that weird fan clutch thing on the front. That complicates things a little bit because this fan has like a kind of custom mount here to the radiator. So there's a couple rivets here we're gonna have to drill out on the top and bottom, and then make new holes on our new radiator for. So this radiator is actually in pretty good shape, but why are these kind of like one of the major breaking points on BMWs is these plastic end caps. So this is like part of the radiator, this plastic piece. This is where fluid collects and flows through all these nice little veins. These get old and brittle and hot and basically explode and rupture, cause problems. So this is our OEM one. We're going to be replacing it with this guy. You can see all aluminum, the side caps aluminum, as well as the body itself. It's a Mishimoto. This is an actual Mishimoto, not a eBay one like some people like to buy, but this is a legit part. I think it's like $250-ish, which isn't horrible considering I think one of the stock ones is like over $100. So not that much extra to get kind of like a lifetime warranted one. This one should never rupture. Very cool, nice aluminum welds everywhere. So basically we got to get this thing prepped.
What that means is we have to pull off kind of like rubber pieces and things from that radiator and put them on this radiator. So let's do that. All right, so we got the bumpers transferred over. We got the little rubber guys on the top transferred over. I even got the sensor transferred over. I got this guy off of the other radiator. We have a problem. So check out the lip on this, right? The lip, the radiator comes exactly flush to how wide or how deep this mount is. This guy doesn't. There's a lip out. I don't know if you can see that. There's a lip out here where you get like, I don't know, a ½ inch of room. So when the fan sits on this, it doesn't have that ½ inch gap. So the fan, these bolts and things are actually sitting on the blades. So we got to figure out a way to basically hover this up a little bit and hope that we don't take up too much room in the engine bay. The other thing is that the rivets that I have are too big. I thought I had a small set, but looks like the only ones I have are, well, this one's smashed, but like this bigger set. So I don't really want to have to use the massive ones. So anyway, it's going to take a little bit of engineering to get this to fit and fit with the fan. Alrighty, so I got the fan mounted. Basically had to use some washers, and basically I switched it to bolts instead of rivets because the rivet wasn't quite long enough to fit through this gap. Basically, I'm going to use these nut and bolt combo. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to put on some thread locker Loctite just to make sure that no vibrations or anything. It shouldn't be that vibrating. The fan itself shouldn't produce that many vibrations, and this thing's pretty isolated. It's like rubber mounted and stuff, but just to be sure the fan doesn't disconnect on the track or something. But yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's now floating off the surface. This bolt head on the other side of this is not rubbing up against the radiator itself. So I think that'll work. Radiator has all the stuff mounted, new sensor, all that good stuff. So should be okay, should be a good solution. Back in the engine bay, my apologies, I haven't been super good at updating you. Basically, the thing I was talking about that was here, the oil filter housing, was basically this giant canister that went down and mounts. This is where it mounts on the side of your block. There's this really weird, oddly shaped gasket. It's basically shaped exactly like that. Leaks constantly. So there was like oil all over down here on my steering rack, on the power steering pump, etc. So I pulled that off. I pulled the tensioner that was right here off. Tried to clean it up a little bit. Let's see if I can get this light here for you. Doesn't look amazing. It's definitely cleaner than it was. I'm going to clean up later tonight. I'm going to clean up the oil filter housing itself. Sitting in a bucket over here. It's like hideous. Further work that I've done. This is basically an OEM remanufactured water pump. It does have a metal impeller, so that's cool. No issues with the plastic one breaking or whatever, so hopefully that'll work out great. I got to get the new thermostat on and the housing. This all cleaned up and everything, but I want to put this back on, but I can't because I'm still waiting on the knock sensors. The knock sensors are back in here. I don't know if I can get you a good shot at it. It's right up in that general area. It's like yeah, right there. That's the knock sensor. See how it's all like crumbly and stuff? Not great. So those are gonna be replaced. Yeah, gonna try to clean it up a little bit more, and then it's time to reassemble. All right, thermostat housing back in, new thermostat, new gasket, cool. So the cooling system part basically done. Water pump, thermostat, radiator. Now we just got to tidy up all this stuff, get the oil filter housing back in after we replace the what are they called?
knock sensors.
And then yeah, then it's basically just getting the radiator back in, buttoning up the front end here, and we should be good. All right, so the radiator's ready to go in. The oil filter housing's ready to go in. I cleaned it up as best I can. Still pretty hideous, but it's cleaner than it was. Yeah, so car's basically ready to go back together. I'm waiting on the knock sensor and what else? Oh, the tensioner. The tensioner was all like rattly and weird, so I gotta get the tensioner back for the alternator and water pump belt. And I gotta get the knock sensors. So I can't put the oil filter housing back on until I do the knock sensors because it gets in the way. So make it easy on myself, I'm just gonna wait. I don't think that stuff's gonna be here till Monday. Right now it's Friday, so a couple days of the BMW just sitting here, but you guys won't have to wait. I'll be back basically instantaneously. So I'm not crazy about leaving projects in the middle. I'm trying to get more used to kind of like working on it, you know, sort of B is for build style, I guess, and just kind of like doing as much as I can and then going to bed and going back to work and then coming home and doing as much as I can. As opposed to like trying to finish it all in one day. That's a bad habit of mine. I like to like start and finish all at the same time. That's kind of why I was procrastinating on this, because I knew this was going to take a while. It's actually better. It's a little more soothing to do it this way, I guess, as long as you can forget about it and go to sleep and not sit there and worry about your car's in pieces all night. So yeah, it's interesting. It's different, but I'm liking it so far. I just do as much as I can. Go inside, watch a little bit of TV, go to bed. It's not a daily driver. It's a project car, so keeps it nice and stress-free. Okay? Yeah. Be back in a second. But really, it's a couple days later. Okay, it's like Monday or something. No, Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Got some new parts. This is the new tensioner setup. So this is a brand new tensioner here. Mounts down there, pulley mounts to it, etc. These are the new knock sensors. So that's all it is. This little tiny knock sensor plugs into the stock harness. So we got to replace two of these. One is very hard to get to. Got to replace this guy after we put everything else back in the car. Pile of parts. You notice cleaned up the garage a little bit less crowded in here, which is nice. So back here, still got to put all our crap back together, but we're doing the knock sensors first. So let's go ahead and get to it. See if I can cram my hands way back in there. So knock sensor 1 I got replaced. Knock sensor 2 is like so freaking far back there. People on the internet said you can get to it by ripping all this stuff out. Most people take off the intake manifold to do it. That's the one that is actually having problems, which makes sense because it's a harder one to get to, so why would somebody ever replace it? So unfortunately, I think I have to pull the intake manifold off. I'm not going to do that now because it doesn't, all this stuff that I have ripped out is not going to affect whether I can get the intake manifold off or not. So I'm just going to start putting stuff back together. Knock sensor 2 will have to wait until I have a little bit more time to pull the whole intake manifold and everything. It's harder than it seems. Plus, I think you're supposed to replace the intake manifold gaskets if you have it out. So not that check engine light will just have to exist for now. Knock sensor 1 definitely need to be replaced, so I'm glad I got that done. And for now though, the thermostat's on, the water pump is on. Got to get the oil filter housing gasket back on, and then all the other accessories, and should be good to go. Alrighty, quick update.
Alternator's back in, new tensioner pulley, new tensioner assemblies in, oil filter housing and its gaskets in, banjo bolt connected, back there, all stuff connected back, pulley is back on the water pump. So it's time to put the belts back on, and then we'll get to actually putting in the new radiator and connecting all that fun stuff. Okay, so the belts are on. Everything looks good. I took a picture of this before I disassembled it, so I knew that everything would be good. These are brand new belts. While you're in here, it's only like $10 a belt or whatever. Might as well just replace them. Looking cleaner. Time to get all the actual cooling system stuff in now.
Okay, so it's basically all back in there. It's about time to fill it up. That's what we got. Intake's back in. Radiator is in. There's a shroud that goes here, but I don't really want to put all this back until I check for leaks. Top and bottom hoses. It's hard to tell down in there. It's kind of dark. Top hose connects to the thermostat. Bottom hose thermostat. Bottom hose, bottom of the radiator. Sensors plugged back in. Fans back in. The coolant sensor thing is back in. I think I've done everything. This goes to the alternator cooling duct, which is part of the fan shroud. Let's see. I might give it one more once over, but then it's time to fill it with coolant. All right, friends, once again, it's actually the next night. As you can tell, this has been like a week and a half long process. So once again, everything's back in the car. I started it last night. I didn't see any initial cooling system leaks, which is cool. We got to take it for a drive later and actually like try it and make sure it's good. But we're going to start it up again in a little bit, but I have to fix the oil filter housing. This was leaking this time, and I think it's because the little washer and stuff in here got unsettled. So I have a new oil filter I'm just going to go ahead and put in with a new O-ring and washer and all that other stuff, just to make sure this thing is solid. Put new brackets on the the radiator, so this should be nice and solid. All this other stuff is bolted up nicely. I don't feel any leaks anywhere now that it's cool and I can touch it. Yeah, I don't feel anything. It's good news. All right, boys, just went for the test drive. It's running. No more oil leaks. New radiator's in, no leaking. She's running right at middle. The fan just kicked on. So I'll call that a success. I'm gonna let it sit overnight, check it for leaks again in the morning, but should be good. All right, dudes, I was just editing this and I realized I forgot to shoot an outro. It's actually a few days later. I finished that up earlier this week sometime. I've driven the car once or twice. Made sure all the coolant is leveled and flushed and all the air pockets are out and such. Cooling system looks great, no leaks, haven't seen anything. The oil filter housing gasket, I'm not 100% sure that it actually worked. I read after the fact that some people had to use some like RTV sealant or whatever when they put it back together to get the leak to actually stop. Some people said that they had to tighten it down, torque it a little bit harder than the torque specs say. So I have a drip tray under it. The drip tray has a drop or two of oil on it, but I don't know if that's residual oil from left over when it was leaking before. So I'm actually gonna, I think, raise the car and like try to clean or lightly power wash the bottom of it to get some of that crap out of there, so I know for sure what is and what is not leaking. Anyway, I realized it was a different kind of style video for me. Some of you guys don't like the E36 stuff. I apologize, more Subaru stuff will be coming. But I needed to get that stuff done. The E36 is a big thing in my life. I do love it and I want to take it to track days, so I got to get it ready. Yeah, so it was a little bit raw video, kind of me just in the garage doing stuff and filling you in when I fixed it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned, more Subaru stuff is coming, I promise. And yeah, I have some other cool news. I don't know if I'm going to announce it yet, but I have an addition to this garage. It's not a car, but it's another appliance, if you want to call it that I think will be really awesome. I'm just in the process of working that out, talking to some, getting some estimates and talking to some installers and stuff like that. So stay tuned. I'll fill you in as soon as I can fill you in. All right. Appreciate you watching. Thanks for watching my long video, and I'll get more videos out. I apologize that it's been kind of slow lately. I've had a lot of stuff going on, and I was sick. And you don't need the excuses. You just need more of me. I get it. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye bye.